So today we are going to be talking about the new optimized launch speed for Windows Server instances. And to do that, I'm joined by my co-host Brian. Brian, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hey, my name is Brian. I'm a senior developer advocate on the CloudFormation team, and I'm super excited to talk about this new feature today.
Cool. And from EC2, we're joined by Paul and Hanzo to talk about the actual features. So guys, would you like to introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about what you do at AWS.
Sure, be happy to. Thanks for having us, Steve and Brian. My name's Paul Hoffman. I'm a principal product manager within what we call the commercial software services team. We focus on enterprise solutions on AWS to try to make life easier for those enterprises to come onto AWS and run those important workloads that they want to run.
Hanzo?
Hello, everyone. I'm Hanzhong. I'm the software development engineer and there is two enterprise organization. As Paul mentioned, yeah, we develop software that helps customers to better launch in enterprise namespace. For our team, we focus on optimizing the launch time for customers.
Cool. Okay. So launch speed optimization. Why is it important? I mean, why would I care?
Sure, Steve. It's a good question, and so it's a simple concept, but it's something we think that customers really will find a lot of benefit to. Is what we've done is when you look at a Windows server, any Windows server, whether you're doing it on premise or in the cloud, it's a lengthy process when you go through the standard boot. There's actually multiple steps to that. It has to run through a thing called sysprep where it'll go through multiple boots, and it can take hundreds of seconds for that to happen. Now, in some circumstances, that's fine. No, you wait for it to come up, and that's great. But there's many situations where you could be running tens or hundreds or even thousands of instances that you're bringing up and down, and suddenly now that time becomes real cumbersome. Or if you're a developer and you're working on a system and you need to bring it up and down to try things, it becomes, as the cliche goes, time is money. And if you're spending a lot of time working on things, you don't want to be sitting there waiting and so-called twiddling your thumbs, waiting for that server to come up so you can do what you want to do with it.
Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned developers because back when I joined AWS like many years ago now, we were working on our toolkit for Visual Studio, and our first feature was basically deploying to Elastic Beanstalk. So we were working on trying to crunch down the launch time of T1 micro instances back then, because we wanted a fast development cycle. So it's not just spinning up instances for your production apps; it's also affecting your development life cycle.
Yeah, and it's an interesting thing that we do. So you can't necessarily not do the things that you do in Windows. In fact, there is a way you can skip the steps, but it's not recommended. Microsoft will tell you not to do it. So you really want to do these steps to make sure that you're running a secure, performant environment. So what we can do is we can actually do some of the things that you would need to do normally when you're booting ahead of time, so that when it comes time to launch that instance from an AMI, we can do it then much more quickly and efficiently.
Wow, this sounds like a very interesting feature. How hard is it to set up? I think that's going to be the main question our customers are going to
Yeah,
ask.
totally. Yeah, and one of the things I mentioned in my intro is we try to make things easier for enterprise to use services on AWS, and we're really focused on that with this one. Is you can go, and we'll show you in the demo shortly, you can go into your EC2 console, you go to the Manage AMI section, and there's a quick little drop down. You can literally click one button, and you're set up. There's some options about how you want to set things up. And we've got some more advanced options for those of you who get into more sophisticated things. But the basic thing is you can click the drop down, turn it on, and you're good to go. And we do everything else behind the scenes. We manage, once you flag an AMI for faster launching, what we do is we go behind the scenes and we will launch that instance on our own. Again, we'll show you that in the demo as well. And we'll launch a bunch of instances, get them ready for use, and then we'll take a snapshot and store them off. And so now when you want to go launch your AMI, we will actually pull up that snapshot that's already ready to go, launch from that. And so now instead of doing all that prep work that you normally would do in a regular launch, we've done that for you, and boom, you go right into the instance.
Cool.
Wow,
So you
sounds
mentioned
amazing.
armies. There are maybe some customers out there who customize their images. Does it still work in that case?
Absolutely, Steve. And it's one of the things we think is really cool about this feature. If you look within the AWS universe, the numbers can vary obviously from time to time, but we see over 90% of our customers in some way or other customize our AMI. They may want to change some things that happen during the boot process. add some software to it, put some security on it, harden it, whatever it might be. So whether you do that or do what we call a stock AMI, which is an AWS managed AMI, either way you want to boot off of just the stock AMI, or you want to customize it as I mentioned and do all these other things to it, we can do the fast launching with either of those situations.
Wow, that's super interesting. How does it essentially make it faster to launch? Like, what's the secret sauce there?
Yeah. So when I mentioned before that we do a lot of the things ahead of time, and that's kind of, we don't want to skip the steps, but we can do those steps for you and be ready for you. So as a default, and again, you'll see this in the demo, as a default, we take 5 snapshots of a given AMI. So what'll happen is we'll launch, and we take a small instance so we can do this quickly and efficiently. We'll take a small instance size, we'll launch and go through the sysprep steps, then we'll take that snapshot, and then we will store that in S3 storage. And so we'll do that 5 times. Or if you have an image that's going to get launched a whole bunch of times or frequently within a time period, you can set it to do more snapshots ahead of time, so you're ready for that. Because what the situation happens is each time you launch an image, you're going to consume that snapshot, and then we have to replenish it, make another one. And that's another cool thing that we do automatically. Is so if you've got a pool of 5 snapshots and you figure you're going to launch one every 20 minutes, you can roam through those and use those. But if you're going to do more frequently, then you can set that number higher and have more snapshots available. But what we'll do is each time you consume one, we'll in the back end go ahead and launch a new instance, take another snapshot, and replenish your pool. You don't have to worry about any of that. It just automatically occurs behind the scenes.
Super cool. Very cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Very cool.
So I understand that you've put a demo together for us.
That's right. This service is so easy to use. We threw together a demo last night. Hanzo's going to show you how it works, and we're going to do this live. So not only is it thrown together and live, so we're going to really test the demo gods here.
All right, I'm super excited.
So what we have here is Hanzo's got. We're in the EC2 console, and he's within the AMI management page, and then he's going to go up to where you manage the AMIs, where you can turn on your settings for manage optimizations. When you go into the screen, everything by default is set up. So you could just click on that you want the image to be optimized.
And that's the only option I have to set.
It's the only one you have to set. Now, if you want, like I said, you can change the number of snapshots that you store if you feel like you're going to have a more frequent launch.
Mm.
But otherwise, you just turn that on and you're good to go.
Okay. Mm.
This doesn't change anything about the AMI ID or anything, right? It's still
No,
the same AMI ID.
it's another flag that's associated with the AMI. And what's really cool too, it's good you brought that up, Ryan, is it actually lives with the AMI. So if you share this AMI to other accounts, that fast launch feature will carry with it.
Oh yeah, this is super interesting. I can see this like really speeding up the time of something like an auto scaling group. When you have infrastructures that expand up and down constantly, and being able to turn this on, I imagine that this could just start these instances up a lot quicker.
And the cool thing is it works with any instance launch. So it doesn't really matter what you're using for or how you're using it for. Is once it's the AMI's flagged, it just automatically happens.
Super cool.
So what you can see here is these are the actual instances that are being launched to create those snapshots so that you're ready. So you can see them in your account. They briefly come up, we take the snapshot, and then they go away.
Wow. Very interesting.
So I think next,
I was going to say, taking a stock image that we would supply, I mean, what typically kind of performance improvements are we seeing?
So we've seen up to 65% faster launches from what you would normally run. So if you're running, a couple of minutes for a launch, we can get that down to a minute or less.
Okay.
Wow. Very, very, very cool.
Mm.
So along with the actual instances, there's a number of things you can see from a metric standpoint, and so Hanzo can also show us some of those, and we can see the different things that are captured along the way. One of them is let's see where we jump to first. We can there's from the logs you can actually see what's captured. We have some metrics about the service. So here we've have a situation as the screen comes up where you'll see a bunch of faster launches that were done. We capture CloudWatch metrics so you can actually see the results of your faster launches.
Oh, so I can actually see the performance improvement in the
So
metric.
no, you'll just see the actual summary of the information
Oh,
that
the
happened.
summary. Okay. I
Yeah.
gotcha.
We'll show you also within the logs, you can actually see how the launch was faster.
Right. Okay.
Wow. So literally, it's just as easy. It's just a checkbox inside the console. Turn this on, and then you're off and running, right? I mean, that's super
It's
cool.
as simple as that. Now you can also do this via API and CLI,
Mhm.
and we'll show you an example API in a second. But first, we'll show you the log file, and you can see. So here's the time when the instance was started to launch.
Mhm.
It's actually too small for me, so I couldn't see the number. And then here's where the actual Windows Ready came up. So Hanzo, I missed how many seconds that was from.
Yep, this is an instance that's launched without fast launch. You
Okay,
can see the launch time is about 2 minutes.
Okay.
Mm.
And then we'll show. So this is one where we didn't do the optimization. So
Okay.
just a normal standard
Normal
AWS
soft
launch took
Yeah.
about 2 minutes. So then it could show you one that was done
Yep.
with fast launch.
About 2.5 minutes, and with fast launch.
I feel like there should be a drum roll.
We could probably add one.
Yeah.
Yeah, someone's gonna have to do time math for me.
The numbers are too small for me to see. I apologize.
It launches so fast, the numbers are too small. Yeah.
So how many seconds we have there?
About a minute.
Okay, so literally about a 50% improvement.
Increase. Okay.
Wow. Wow.
That is
Amazing.
And all he did was set a flag.
Now I'm gonna kind of play devil's advocate here. Like, this is a very cool feature in which you just click one button to turn it on. It automatically just makes these, your deployments a lot quicker. Your instances come up faster. Why wouldn't customers turn this on? I mean, it seems like you just turn this on every Omni. Is there a situation where you wouldn't?
And to some extent, we would encourage that. There's really, because even the things we're doing, the fact that we're launching stuff ahead of time, while it does create some resources in your account, it's the same thing you do when you actually launch eventually anyway. So we're really just doing stuff ahead of time. The only reason you might not want to use it is if you have something that you just don't launch often. I mean, like some customers, when they launch a SQL server, you bring it up and you run it for sometimes weeks, months at a time. And if you're just not doing frequent launches, it's really not that big a deal. You're doing a one-time launch, and so you don't really care if it's less time. The other thing is you may have some compliance or other restrictions that you have to do things in a certain manner, and so you have to ensure that everything is happening within your compliance window. And so, since we're creating some instances out of band of your normal launch activity, we just want to give people the option. I don't know that they would necessarily violate their compliance. Just want to give them that option to turn it off if they don't want to use it.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So you mentioned this is available from the APIs and our command line tools, like the AWS CLI and our PowerShell tools too. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. And I think Hanzo has, do you have a sample code line that you could show somebody what the API call looks like?
Sure, yeah. First, I also disable the really quick.
That's sure. So as simple as, guess what? You uncheck the box.
Done.
and what happens is we then go behind the scenes and we will stop any instances that are running, and we will clear out all your S3 storage for all the snapshots that we made. And
oh, that's nice. So I don't have to go and do that myself. You just take care of that for me. That's nice.
All you do is uncheck the box.
It's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, that's perfect for like auto scaling and stuff like that. There are days where you want to scale it faster, super quick for like if you're expecting a lot of traffic, and then you can just check this box, and then it just makes everything quicker, and then you can always go back, which is kind of
well.
Cool.
And the cool thing is you'll get that faster launching for those instances, whether they're in the group or not, right? So if you forget to add something to a group, it'll still launch faster.
Amazing, truly.
So we'll just switch over to the code sample.
Yeah, I'm just
Yeah.
sitting here thinking that I can just enable this in my account, and
Yeah.
before I even see the code sample, I can think of a million different ways I can use this. Like
Yeah.
I can do automation in the background, have Lambda turn it on when I need it. This is really amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So there's a sample call. It's pretty
Wow.
straightforward again. Like I said, there's some advanced options you can do. You can include a launch template, and you can do that from the API as well, too. Actually, feature coming very soon. I spoke a little too fast on that. But from the API, you can add a launch template. So if you want to do a non-default VPC, if you want to use IMDS v2 or some things like that, you can specify that in the launch template, and then that'll be a process as part of your faster launching.
Awesome.
I like it. I like that you've made it super easy to use. I think that's just great.
I think a little too easy. I mean, just one checkbox. This is amazing.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, the cloud doesn't have to be hard, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, cool. So we are almost out of time. So any last comments you want to make to our audience?
Yeah, I think, the thing I always like to encourage with especially something as easy to use as this, go try it. Go find an Omni, check a box, and see how it works. I think you'll be pleased, and play around with it. It's easy to turn on, easy to turn off. And if you have feedback and you want to see more things in the future, let your account rep know, and we'll start working on those things too. But yeah, we think that this is a nice, simple feature that our customers are going to be real excited to use, and makes that Windows experience that much more pleasant.
Yeah. I'm going to turn all mine on straight away, right after this.
Good for you.
And I think you have a blog on this too, right? Can you?
That's right. We do have a
alright.
blog. That's the one thing, Brian, you caught me. I didn't bring the link handy.
Oh, I actually have the link. I can post
Okay.
it, or we can post it in the chat for our customers. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we'll absolutely do that. But yeah, there's a great blog that talks fully about the service, gets into some of the more intrinsic details about the things we talked about, so you can really see what's going on.
Right.
Excellent.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Paul and Hanzo, for joining us. Really
Thanks for having
appreciate you
us.
showing us that. It was great. Thanks, Brian, for co-hosting, and
Yes.
we'll see you all soon.
All right. Cheers.
All right. Bye for now.
Thank you, guys.